Welcome to Game Over, Kids Are Up. Before we get started, let's do a quick dad joke. Where do pirates get their hooks? Secondhand stores. Alright, let's get the video started. Why you should play Hogwarts Legacy. Let's kick this off by talking about combat. When this game was first announced, quite frankly, I was a little bit worried about the combat. I was concerned that waving a wand around, like they do in the movies, would not translate well to a game. Luckily, I was wrong to be worried. The combat is a ton of fun and works really, really well. You have a basic wand attack, which acts a lot like a quick kind of jab. It's really useful for maintaining damage between spells that you're able to cast. Then you have the actual spells, which for the purposes of combat are split into three categories. There's damage spells, force spells, and control spells. Damage spells have a red outline and do things like deal direct damage to an enemy. An example of this is the spell Incendio, which shoots a ball of fire at nearby enemies. Force spells have a purple background, and they are spells that kind of manipulate enemies. An example is Accio, which is the summoning spell, which if you cast at an enemy will pull them towards you. Control spells have a yellow background, and they are spells that will, you guessed it, help you control the battlefield. An example is Glacius, which will freeze an enemy. In combat, if a yellow indicator appears above your head, this lets you know that an enemy is about to land an attack on you that can be blocked. When you see this, you know to hit the button for a shield charm, which will block that attack. Furthermore, if you hold this button, you will then use the stunning spell on the enemy that attacked you, Stupefy. If you get a red indicator above your head, this lets you know that an enemy is about to land an attack you are unable to block, so you know that you need to dodge. Coupled with your actual spell casting, there's also items that can help you in combat. You're able to purchase mandrake plants, as well as venomous tentacula and Chinese chopping cabbages, and you can use these as items and they will perform attacks on enemies. And I didn't use them too much in my playthroughs, but you have to for certain assignments, and it's pretty wild watching them do what they do. They can actually be very helpful in combat. You also have access to various potions as well. There's potions that heal you, there's potions that can improve your defense, and things like that. Along with these tools, because of some story reasons, your character has access to some other skills as well. One of them being something called an ancient magic throw, which occasionally an enemy will try to shoot something at you and you'll have the option of directing that back at them. Or sometimes at various enemy camps there's barrels that explode that you can also use this ability to throw at enemies, causing them to explode and deal quite a bit of damage. The other ability, kind of tied in with the story, is this ability to do an ancient magic attack. As you're in combat, you build up a meter, and when the meter is full, you're able to use that attack on a specific enemy. And there's a few different animations for it, and they're all pretty cool. But basically, this attack just deals a ton of damage in one shot to a specific enemy. So that's all the tools you have at your disposal. How do they all kind of come together to make it a fun combat experience? So a typical combat is basically a mixture between basic attacks, actual named spells, which all have individual cooldowns which need to be worked around, and dodging or shielding and stunning enemies. And usually most fights are with multiple enemies, so you really need to be ready to dodge and block on a regular basis. But while doing that, still being able to keep outputting damage with your basic attack and with your spells. All the while filling up your ancient magic meter, which when full will allow you to deal a devastating attack to a specific enemy. Once you kind of understand the rhythm of combat and get used to it, it's a ton of fun. It makes you feel so powerful when you take on a large group of enemies and you're just dodging and blocking and stunning and just dealing a barrage of damage to all of them. It just feels awesome. It feels so cool. You just feel like you're like within the Harry Potter world and you're like a dueling master. It's just fantastic. Honestly, the combat kind of reminded me of a variation of the Batman Arkham games combat. The yellow indicator was kind of ripped right from that, and the red, I think, as well, and just the fact that you're building up combos. But this, because you are a wizard and have a magic wand, this obviously is focused on ranged, whereas that one was all about melee combat. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is the story. They did something really cool with this game. Instead of relying on, the existing characters that are obviously well loved and well established, they set this game about 100 years before the events of Harry Potter. So we're in the late 1800s. The other interesting thing that they did here, and it seemed kind of odd at first, was they made your character a 5th year. So your character starting school for the first time is a 5th year. I'm not 100% sure why they made that decision, but if I had to guess, I'd say it might have something to do with the fact that it would seem maybe weird for an 11-year-old to be running around beating up on adults. But I don't know, that's just an opinion. But I digress. Anyway, in the opening cinematic of the game, you find out that you're able to see traces of ancient magic, and apparently this is a very rare ability that very, very few people in history have had. So the basic idea behind the story is your character is trying to complete a series of trials left by a group of wizards from several hundred years ago, one of whom had the same ability as you. And the idea is that these trials are supposed to show that you are worthy to have the knowledge that lies at the end of them. And because this is a video game, we need conflict. We need a baddie, right? So enter Ranrock. So Ranrock is a goblin who is leading a rebellion against wizardkind. On top of that, he is well aware of these trials and what lies at the end of them, so he is trying to acquire that for himself. I don't want to say much more specifics about the story because, the game's a couple of years old, I granted, but, for anybody that hasn't played it, I don't want to ruin it for you because the story is quite good. They do a great job of making you care about what happens, and you want to know what's going to happen next, what the next trial is going to be, and who you're going to meet at the end of it. It's done really, really well. I don't want to spoil anything. I wasn't a huge fan of the very end. The very end I wasn't a big fan of, but everything leading up to that I thought was fantastic. It's well done. It's a story that makes sense within the world that J.K. Rowling has created. The next thing I wanted to talk about was exploration. More specifically, exploring Hogwarts and exploring Hogsmeade. Credit where credit is due. Avalanche did an amazing job of bringing Hogwarts into this game and creating it. I wish I could go back to not having played this game so that I could play it again for the first time and get to explore Hogwarts again fresh, because it was such an amazing feeling. I've been wanting to freely explore that castle in a video game like this since I started reading the books back in 2000. It was a dream come true. The level of care and detail that was put into this is just, it's mind-boggling. I can't believe that they did this. You can tell that the movies were the primary kind of model used to bring this to life. But having said that, there's so many things from the books that aren't in the movies that they've brought in as well. And I don't want to get too specific here because I don't want to spoil much, but it's amazing to just walk around Hogwarts. I've played the game through about 3.5 times now, and I've made a character from every house, and it's so cool to explore the various common rooms because they all have a distinct look. They're all beautiful in their own way. A cool thing that they've done, and it's something that a lot of games have. A lot of games have like a codex or a journal space that kind of keeps track of interesting tidbits about the world. But they have a really cool in-game way of doing this, where they give you this magic book at the beginning, and this book is kind of your guide to Hogwarts and the game and the surrounding areas and things like that. And one of the things you're able to do is you're able to cast the spell Revelio, and if there is a entry one of these entries is nearby you, it will make a nice chiming noise to let you know that it's close by. And if you find it in front of like a point of interest, it will make a noise to make it pop up, and you're able to collect that entry, and it will add an entry to your book, which is really cool because it gives you a little bit of extra information about various things around the castle. There's just a slew of different things to find, and they do what I believe is kind of a smart thing. Is the entire castle is not open to you right at the beginning. I mean, technically, basically every section is, but there's certain areas you can't get to right out of the gate. It's locked behind. Some of it's locked behind quests specifically, and some of it's locked behind. You need to learn the spell Alahamora, and you don't learn that immediately. You learn that at a certain point in the game, and you have to actually level it up because there's different tiers of locks. So in that way, it does prevent you from just kind of beginning the game and exploring the entire castle before the game really even gets started, and then being like, oh, okay, well, now what? And while Hogwarts is definitely the highlight, in my opinion, I don't want to count out Hogsmeade as well, because Avalanche has also done a great job bringing the village to life. It really feels lived in. There's people everywhere. It's vibrant. There's an amazing, ambiance to the place. It's so cool. One of my favorite quests in the game is towards the very beginning. It's your first day of school. You have to, towards the end of the day, you pick between two of your students that you've met, and you have to walk to Hogsmeade with them and make some purchases, and some other things happen. But that first time you get to Hogsmeade, it's so cool. You walk in and the music starts playing, and it's just it didn't hit me quite as hard as exploring Hogwarts, being let loose in Hogwarts, but it was still amazing. Like, there's so many secrets to find and buildings to explore and various shopkeepers to talk to. All of the buildings that they visit in the book series are here, and you're able to explore them, along with others that aren't mentioned in the series at all. Honestly, it's hard to even record this, because when I'm talking about it, I just want to stop doing this and go play the game and explore Hogwarts and Hogsmeade some more, even though I've played the game through 3.5 times now. So I might have a bit of a problem. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was fan service. And to be fair, this one only really applies if you're somebody that's a fan of this universe. Someone who, just likes to play video games and has no interest in the Harry Potter series, this section really doesn't mean anything to you. But for those of us that are, there is some real great stuff in game. And it's not just stuff that's from the movies. There's stuff, little things that they've done here from the book specifically, and it's amazing. The idea here is not to give you an exhaustive list. I don't want to spoil every little thing that's there to find for people. I just wanted to touch on a few really nice touches that I noticed, and I just got to talk about it. The first awesome little Easter egg thing that I wanted to discuss was the fact that the giant squid is in the game. The giant squid's in the game, which is amazing. That's so awesome that they brought that in. I when I was first playing the game, I was hoping that I would see it, that it was going to be part of it, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know ahead of time. And I'm so happy to say that it is. There's a scripted quest moment where you see it, which is really cool. But then there's also kind of some other times you can run into it as well, just kind of randomly, which is awesome. Such a nice touch that it's there. And it's one of those things too, right? Like, it's not mentioned in the movies at all, but it's in the books, and it doesn't play a prominent role at all. So it's just awesome that they cared enough to incorporate it into the game somehow. Next thing I wanted to talk about in terms of fan service is Peeves the Poltergeist. I was furious that he was not part of the movies. Honestly, I was not pleased at all that they did not incorporate him into the movies. He's such a fantastic character in the novels. Like, just a royal pain in the you-know-what, but funny, and just always kind of jumping in at the wrong time to cause havoc. So the game, of course, brought him to life, and they did an amazing job. You'll just be wandering around Hogwarts and he'll pop out occasionally and be juggling and singing songs and harassing students, and he'll stick around for a bit, and then he kind of just decides to peace out and just goes into the floor and he's gone. But yeah, just so glad that they added him. He does add a lot to the kind of atmosphere of Hogwarts. So it's just amazing that they included him. Okay, this is just a minor one, but I think it bears sharing. Now, this one, again, is something that is not in the movies, and it's just a small detail from the books. So, if you are a male character in the common room dormitory area, if you try to go up the stairs to the girls' dormitory, the stairs turn into a slide and slide you down, and your character makes a comment about how, oh, I'm not supposed to go there. I can't tell you how much I smiled when I saw that happen, because that just shows that the developers at Avalanche really cared about the source material. The fact that they added that kind of throwaway thing from the books. I think it happens one time in the books to Harry and Ron, and it's brought up again or spoken about again. So just so cool that they managed to add that little detail. I'm gonna cap off this section of this here. I don't want to spoil anything else for anybody. I could wax poetic about all the cool things that this game does and lends, fan service from, whether you're a fan of the movies or the books, just all throughout. But I don't want to ruin it for anybody, so I'm just gonna leave it there. So there you have it. There's just a few reasons why I think that you should play Hogwarts Legacy. This was just a quick video. I don't pretend that this is an exhaustive list of all the reasons that you should play. These are just 3 that I wanted to discuss specifically, because at the end of the day, I can't possibly make the argument that objectively this is one of the best games ever made, because it's not. It just isn't. I would not ever try to claim that it is. But I will say that this game is one of, if not the best gaming experience that I have ever personally had. I've been gaming for over 30 years now, and I don't think that anything has made me feel the way that this game did playing it. So to wrap this up, if you are even a slight Harry Potter fan, you have to play the game. You really do. It's so good. They did such an amazing job bringing this all to life in this game. I'm not going to pretend that it's perfect. It's not. It has its flaws, but that's not what this video is about. This video was just about why you should play it, and I hope you do. I really do. Well, that'll wrap things up for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you want more gaming content like this, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.